Are you looking to buy or sell a rent roll? Have you considered all the factors around this? Let's talk about it. Hi and welcome to IRE TV. I'm Hamish Turner, New Zealand's leading rent roll broker, and today we're going to discuss the value of a rent roll and what to consider when buying or selling one. So let's first talk about the value of a rent roll and the primary factors used in establishing the value. The first one's average management fee. The second one is the average rent of the portfolio, the number of properties, the location of the book, and lastly, comparative sales, so other rent rolls that have sold locally to that one. So what are the secondary factors? There's around 9 secondary factors in establishing value of a rent roll. The first one is the owner to property ratio. So that's how many owners versus a property. The safe sort of zone is around 1.3 to 1.5. So above or below that, you have different risk levels in terms of, for example, if you had 2 to 1, so you had 2 properties to one owner across the entire portfolio, that's higher than the safe risk zone at 1.3 to 1.5. Second one, profitability of the book. So varying size and if you're in growth or profit mode. So there's lots of things to consider, but certainly in establishing value, the profitability of a book, if it's high or low. Third one, secondary income. So primary income being management fees in the high majority of cases with rent rolls. Secondary income include things like letting fees, inspection fees or routine inspections, administration fees, marketing, maintenance, and a list of other things. Another thing to consider when valuing a book, branding, social media, domains. That's something that's probably a little bit more newer. The value comes around the pipeline of new biz, the age of the book, the stability. Other assets, so book assets, typically vehicles, laptops, filing cabinets, key cabinets. So general spread of the portfolio, the demograph. So let's say everything's within a 10-minute opposed to a 30-minute drive time, which also bounces into profitability of the book. Staff in place, what experience levels they have, their current salaries, are they high or low, or arrears rate, anything below 5% of 6 days or over is typically seen as good. In above that, let's say you're at 7% of with tenants 6 days or more is seen as getting a bit higher. Vacancy rate, again, typically that 5% margin. So if you've got something that 2.5%, it's seen as a good low risk book. Whereas if you're at, let's say, 10% vacancy across your book. Cleanliness of the book in general, so keys, so if there's missing keys or you've got a full key cabinet, bonds all lodged or missing bonds or not paid bonds, inspections are up to date or routine inspections are up to date, status of smoke alarms and insulation and other compliance matters, general tenancy documentation, so go through half a dozen hard files and see that there's tenancy agreement, bond lodgement form, management agreement, everything's in order. So they are the primary and secondary factors in establishing the value of a rent roll. When you value a rent roll or determine its value, there's a multiplier arranged for the given area, location, all the other things we've talked about just now. Where you sit in that range depends on how good the factors are in the primary, secondary ranges. So. So now we're going to talk about what causes a rent roll to be devalued. Poor rental arrears, poor vacancy rates, compliance matters not up to date is a big reason for why a book's value can be devalued. Files missing, the information missing, so for example, tenancy agreements and other documentation. Low management fees, discounting that occurs, not an uncommon one. So how do you keep on top of ensuring that low management fees aren't annual review? And no, discounting is the easy answer, but it sort of happens with friends and family, or if an owner has multiple properties. The way to keep on task with that as a principal or a general or manager of a business is to have an annual review of where the fees are at, and then tidying up any fees that are sitting too low. Best ways to increase rent roll value: management fees increases. So we've just come off talking about the devaluing, but how about looking at your pricing list once a year and ensuring that your management fees are up to date? So how do you work out, what's competitive without going overboard and missing out on new business conversions? Doing a secret shopping across your local area and seeing what everyone else is charging, doing that once a year. Consistent rental increases. It's an interesting one because a lot of tenancies are periodic, and rental increases can sometimes be missed. Or let's say you've got property managers that are a little bit sympathetic to the tenants and not wanting to put increases up. So you put things in place as a manager or a principal to ensure that they're up to date, spot audits on rents, but really having an annual review and ensuring that your rents are up to date or brought up at least, especially with periodic tenancies where you don't have that lease renewal to force it to occur. Improving profitability of the business. So there's lots of nice to haves. The must haves are something that in terms of, so for example, property management, trust accounting or software. That's a must to have. But let's say you're overstaffed, you're you've got administration or staffing that's not necessary to the business. There's lots of different examples of must haves and nice to haves. Increasing secondary income. So you've got your existing secondary income that you can increase, or you can add additional fees. So reviewing that once a year and ensuring that you're increasing that or bringing in new fees. Focusing on the primary and secondary factors we discussed earlier. They're really the way to ensure that you keep the value of the book up is being really focused on those 5 primary and around 9 secondary factors. Ensuring your compliance matters are up to date. Performing due diligence health checks. Now, this is an interesting one to discuss. I perform business health checks across businesses on a monthly basis, and doing that on whether you're doing it internally or getting someone to come in externally and looking at doing a health check or business audit on your own book on an annual basis is quite a good thing to do. So in conclusion, there are a lot of things to take into consideration when buying and selling a rent roll. I've got some helpful checklists on my website to help you with that process. Go to www.rentrollbroker.co.nz. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, please feel free to make contact with me. Thank you for watching. I'm Hamish Turner and this is IRE TV.